Namaskaram and hello again. I'm Justin, or you can call me Arjun. So today, I wanted to start talking about all the red flags that will pop up in a person that you might be interested in. Well, let's go from the approach that this is someone that you are romantically, sexually interested in. Okay, so red flag number one is going to be they're unavailable, which means maybe they're emotionally unavailable, like they're working through some stuff. They may be single or taken, but they are unavailable, okay? And, or it could mean that they are taken. So they're married, they're in a serious relationship, right? That is a huge red flag, okay? Now I know media and entertainment like movies and TV shows and books and even like certain YouTube channels where there's like influencers or, very successful podcasters. They may make it seem like, excuse me, you can find the love of your life even if you're already with somebody. It's true. You can. That is possible. But it is very, very rare that if you're having an affair with somebody, that is going to work out in the end. And it's also rare too that if you're going through a divorce or a huge breakup and you start dating somebody during that time, that relationship's going to work out. Especially if you were in a very long-term marriage or committed relationship and you have like things like kids, shared assets like houses, cars, things like that. And I'll get to why these are all red flags, but that should be an indication to you, nope, I'm not going to get involved, okay? So, I mean, that seems like obvious to many people out there. I think that's a red flag. Oh, they're taken or they're unavailable. They're not in a place to open up to have a relationship. And, that would seem obvious. But to be honest, a lot of people get involved with somebody else, either when they're already in a relationship or a marriage, or the other person is already in a committed relationship or marriage. It happens a lot, like a lot more than people think. And the amount of affairs and cheating that goes on, and again, I've said this in previous episodes, cheating doesn't have to necessarily mean that you have gone outside of that relationship and had sexual affair with somebody. It could be an emotional romantic affair. It could be a deeply spiritual affair where you're hiding that. Basically, when you're hiding that because you're afraid that it's going to hurt that person, you're cheating. You're having an affair. Some people disagree with that. What I say, I call BS on that, because that is you not wanting to take accountability that you could be doing something not appropriate, not very respectful or loving or caring to the other person. So people want to get caught up in how to label it or semantics. That's you escaping accountability. And I don't know what to tell you. If you're not ready to have those conversations and confront those things and take accountability for yourself, then you're truly never going to advance. You're never going to advance into your higher self. You're never going to work through those things as long as you're in that space. Taking accountability is huge. So when someone is already taken, we're human beings. So we find other people attractive or charismatic or interesting, intriguing. And it can be hard to stop yourself from being tempted, whether that person's already taken or you're both taken, or in committed relationships. But you have to be very, very careful because, like, again, media will say, oh, you can only, sometimes you're in a, a long-term relationship, and there's maybe love there, maybe there isn't, maybe it's really toxic, but you've allowed yourself to stay in this relationship, and then comes along the right guy or gal or person, right? And then you end up leaving that, boring or horrible or loveless marriage or relationship, and you live happily ever after. That is a bunch of bohonky. Okay, that's a bunch of doo doo, right? That is very, very rare that it ends up like that, because usually there's a whole mess that comes out of it, a whole big mess. Especially again, if there are things like kids, if it's a long-term marriage where there's a lot of shared assets. Okay, it is not like you're going to live happily ever after. And the people that do make it work, a lot of times there are very few people where it's true love and it was like, match made in heaven. And to those people, I tip my hat to you. I really do. And I hope, though, that you weren't so selfish and self-centered that you said, well, forget the damage that I caused to other people. I'm going to go live my life and live it to the fullest and be happy. Screw that everybody else. Like, I hope that you took accountability. Very few people do that these days. And they'll make excuses. They'll blame shift, right? They'll scapegoat. They'll whitewash history. So then it fits their narrative. Okay? And most of the time, it's people, when there are these outliers who cheated on their spouses or long-term committed partners and then go off with the love of their life. Like, a lot of times they're avoiding confronting what took place, their part in it, what part they played in it. They're refusing to take accountability because they don't want to look like a bad person. They don't want to face the hard truths that they caused a cluster F of a situation. They don't want to do that. So that's a fake it till you make it kind of couple, right? And some of them will go years, decades, maybe even the rest of their lives living that lie, right? Faking it till you make it. Yeah, everything's okay. Yep. See, well, we were destined to be together. But really, they're just like shoving down all, the monster rearing its ugly head, like, take accountability. Look at me. Look what you've caused. Right? So most of the time, it does not work out. Especially if somebody has been married or with somebody for especially from younger age, like late teens, 20s onwards, and they've been with somebody for 15, 20 plus years. They have kids, a house, all that. And if this person never really dated before that, and now they're in middle-aged, that it is a you're asking for disaster, right? You are going to end up getting hurt, and they will probably end up getting hurt. They'll hurt other people. And most of the time when that person, this happens to men middle-aged, in midlife crisis, right? Like, oh, what do I do? I gotta, I'm losing my youth, and this life, I feel like I wasted my life. And so they go out, what's the trope? Like, they get a sports car, divorce their wife, trade her in for someone younger, right? That does happen. I see it all the time, where there's guys that are in their mid-late 40s, 50s, 60 that are doing that. And especially in Nashville, you see droves of these men and women. And especially nowadays, women, you see these middle-aged women around perimenopause or going through menopause. And a lot of people don't realize that it is perimenopause and menopause that the symptoms, both physiological and psychological, that are taking place that often lead to divorces, right? And there are treatments for both the psychological stuff and the physiological stuff going on. There's treatments for those kinds of things, and future episode we might talk about that. And it's sad because a lot of women don't know this, but especially for women that have done the housewife, house mom, full-time job thing, that uh, when and it's not always the cause, like perimenopause isn't always the cause. I'm not saying that, but it definitely contributes to it. Either way, whatever the reason is, these men and women, when they have this midlife crisis of sorts, and they feel like they've wasted their entire lives, and that they never really lived, truly lived, they look for a way out. And they may not be consciously aware of this. This could be deep, way, way back there, subconsciously. And when they find a way out, usually through somebody else that takes interest in them, I hate to say it, but they use that person. And they may not, again, consciously be aware that they're using that person, right? Or that person is a catalyst to make them, not make them, but it encourages them to kind of face, yeah, I am unhappy in this marriage. Yeah, or, I feel like I've wasted my life. I feel like this is a breath of fresh air, and it's exhilarating. And so they feed off of that. And it's like, it gives them the motivation and inspiration to break through that wall, right? And go be independent. So a lot of times with those people, and it doesn't have to be, people in their, middle age, like 40s or 50s. It can be 30s and late 20s. Like if they've been in a long-term relationship and maybe they have kids and maybe they didn't date a whole lot before that, right? They don't have a lot of experience, like worldly experiences. And especially today where it's all about this false empowerment of going to live life to the fullest, whatever that means. I mean, media and famous people and people who hold a lot of influence, like sometimes I wish they would just all shut up because they are feeding a bunch of garbage to people. They're misleading people. They don't know what they're doing, and they often have people helping them throughout life. Why listen to these famous people? Don't. It's garbage. It's rubbish. Very few of them give good advice for us, plebes, us regular folk. Okay? Look within. Your intuition will guide you. And if you're truly listening to your intuition, it's going to be very rare that you'll be led astray, because that intuition, if you believe in God or not, it's connected to something bigger than yourself. Okay? So these people, though, when they're looking for a way out, and here you come along and there's this magnetism, this attraction, like it's off the charts, it's really limerence. That's what it is. I mean, look that up. It's sad that limerence isn't more commonly understood, but it becomes like this obsession out of an ideal of what you think real, call it love, call it just like, primal attraction. And, but it leads you astray, both parties, right? So, sorry, I don't have like a habit. Okay. I just like trim my beard and stuff, and like the hairs, I think yeah. So I'm good. I am good. Seriously, I'm good. Yeah, but these people are most likely, especially the longer that they have been in a marriage and they've lived a certain way, you'll often see these people, some telltale signs that they are going to flip-flop, that they are not going to be consistent, and that they are going to do things like breadcrumb you, right? Love bomb you at first, but then pull back, right? Give you a little dangle the carrot and then whip it back, or do a 180 and, get really upset with you. Or you'll see them at times like even ghost you or stonewall you. And then you'll see, this is the worst. So these red flags and these behaviors that people really need to watch out for are going to include things like I said, the breadcrumbing, but then the worst one is like whitewashing history. Because eventually, when these people are done using you, right, and that's what they're doing, they're using you, they may not just be aware of it, but when they toss you aside and they trade you in for somebody else, right? Or something else, something more exhilarating, something more empowering, then they're going to whitewash history. They're going to blame you that their marriage ended. And to be honest, there's some truth to that, right? Ultimately, they're the ones that have to gatekeep and safeguard the sanctity of their marriage or relationship with somebody, right? But you obviously went through it too, and then probably encouraged it. So you do have some accountability there, right? Ultimately, they're responsible for that, but still, you had a choice to walk away and you didn't. Okay. So, but they will blame you that it was all your fault or that it was never real, right? And you really need to pay attention to, red flag one, 1-B. And that is if they love bomb you for a while and they make you feel like you are exactly what they've been waiting for their whole life, that you are sent from God, that you are going to be such a good influence in their life, their children's lives, that they were just so interested in you and you're so rare and blah, blah, blah. Okay. Whatever, weave their, web they're weaving here. You need to be careful because if they then pull back, breadcrumb, stonewall, but worse, if they also start talking to other people at some point or getting involved with third parties, this is more like a fourth party at this point, then there's a good chance that that person, because they've already cheated on their spouse or their partner, they're going to cheat on you. And if they do end up cheating on you, they're going to cheat on that other person. And even if they don't, right? Even if they don't cheat on that next person, the fact that you trusted somebody who cheated on their spouse or partner. Now, I'm going to make an exception here for people that were they felt like they were trapped in abusive relationships. Like they were physically, sexually being abused, right? Or very, very, very intense, very obvious, like gross emotional, spiritual abuse too, right? Or financial abuse. But I mean, it has to be pretty severe in that point because, like, you should be able to walk away at some point. Like when people just throw out, oh, they were abusive and manipulative. It's like maybe they were, but you had a choice to walk away. Or are you sure that you weren't doing the same thing either? Right. So I think there are certain situations with physical sexual abuse where people feel like their life or limb are at stake or their children's are. Like they could get seriously physically hurt or death. It could result in death. Going to table that group of people. But even then, you shouldn't be getting involved with them like romantically, sexually, like that, because they have so much healing to do. You can be there as a friend, like you can be like family, right? And really care about that person, want them and their kids to be safe. Like that's totally cool and understandable. Yeah, of course. Don't get romantically, sexually involved with those people because they have so much to work through. So much to work through. All right. And you're just muddying the waters for both of you. So still, don't get involved with them that way. Okay. I went off on that tangent. Dang it. But anyways, so a lot of times if they've cheated on you, like they've cheated on whoever they were with when they could have walked away and told them at any time, listen, I either want an open relationship or marriage, which has its own problems, or I need to leave because, I'm sorry, but I didn't intend to, but I fell in love with someone else and I'm not in love with you anymore and it's just not been working. So if they can't do that, then I don't know. This is red flag 1-B, right? Then I don't know how you ever expect to fully trust them. You shouldn't. Because if they've done it to someone else, there's a chance they can do it to you. And if they do end up doing it to you, you should that's like, That's like, they took your healthy, beautiful, like new puppy and took it to the side of the house and then just raised the rifle and like right in front of you. Like what the F? Like that should be like you're a monster. Like you're not a good person, right? And then if they start, like, again, whitewashing, gaslighting you, and gaslighting is something that's thrown out there way too freely, but basically it's manipulating you to think that something is true or false, but it's the opposite, right? And usually it has something to do with blame shifting, like you're the cause of why you think this is true, but it's actually wrong. It's this mental fuck. It's really bad, right? But they'll start doing things to make it seem like, well, we weren't, I was still going through my divorce and, maybe you were still getting out of a relationship or you were living in another state or, we never actually said like, explicitly, like, we will not talk to other people, even though we said we were committed and exclusive. They'll try to find a loophole, right? And if they do that, right, and then they make you feel bad for getting upset that you were either talking to somebody else or you were effing somebody else, going on dates with them, and then they try to make you feel bad, like that's blame shifting and it's gaslighting, and that is very toxic. That is like red flag 1-C, right? You need to run away from that person. Run away as fast as you can. All right. They're probably going to end up hurting that next person or it will be done to them. And even if it doesn't, and even if those people end up happily ever after, deep down that they are effed up. Like they need serious help. They are fully in their ego, right? They are not in their higher self at all. So you wouldn't want that person in your life in any way, shape, or form anyhow, right? So when you get to a certain point, like I keep on saying, like, red flag number one, 1-B, 1-C. Basically, when you need to identify and pay attention to the red flags from way in the beginning, like a mile down the road, right? You see it coming. Don't say to yourself, well, I just woke up, my eyes, I can't really see that far. It could be orange and not red. Come on. If something inside is saying, ooh, that looks like a red flag, like, I don't know. It doesn't mean that you have to necessarily like deviate like a 180, right? But you might want to just sidestep a little bit and keep a distance and observe to make sure that this isn't a red flag, okay? Even with the orange and yellow flags, you got to keep an eye on that because they could become red real quick, right? And sometimes people are not able to dodge a bullet, as they say, right? And they get hooked up with somebody and they get pregnant or some other situation where it feels like they're trapped, right? Or it's now you have responsibilities and you're accountable to not just yourself, right? So you have to pay attention to those red flags. And I'm telling you, whether it's romantic or platonic, you'll meet the right people eventually. Where it's mostly green flags and maybe some yellow flags. And the red flags are more maybe something that won't interrupt or interfere with the progression of your friendship, right? Like it's an external problem from your connection with them, all right? Still want to pay attention to it, but the red flags, you don't want to get to, red flag 1-D, right? You don't want to get to that point. You want to avoid red flag 1 and all its subcomponents altogether. Avoid it, right? Try to gain control of your lust, your desire to be with somebody, whatever way, right? Sexually, romantically, emotionally, socially, whatever it is. And because a lot of times when you get involved with that, here's the other thing that I wanted to say, and I'll try to wrap it up after this. Another reason why this is a huge red flag, not just that they're already taken, right, or unavailable, right, and it can cause a big mess, and like bad things can come out of that, right? Some people obviously don't take it well when they've been cheated on, right? That's understandable. And then when they try to get, the person tries to say, you're overreacting. Now, I'm not condoning like acts of violence or worse, okay? Definitely not. But it's like, what did you expect? You were cheating on them. Like for them to make it public and embarrass you, like give you a public spanking, like, like, yeah, what do you expect? Oh, that's so toxic. No, it's not. What you did was toxic. But another reason why this is something you need to avoid at all costs is because you are saying, this is the best I can do. The best that I can do is get involved with someone who is already knee deep in a committed relationship, even if they're bored and unhappy. Like that's the best I can do. Because again, all the other red flags that will follow that, right? All the fallout, all the complications is saying, this is what I deserve. I don't deserve any better. And when they do start flip-flopping or seeing other people or whitewashing history and breadcrumbing you and making you not their first choice. You were the first choice at the beginning, but then you became second, third, and then basically you were just like a nuisance. That should tell you, like, if you're staying in that kind of relationship or situation, that says a lot about how much you value yourself, which is very little. Because they're boundary stepping left and right. And you're taking it. And if you're trying to still make it work because deep down they weren't like that in the beginning, and deep down I know they're a good person, right? Like you're making excuses for them and for yourself, allowing yourself to be disrespected, your boundaries to be disrespected time and time again. It means that you have very little self-respect, self-love, self-care for you, right? You are not valuing yourself. And you're saying, this is the best I can do. Bullshit. It isn't. Sorry, YouTube. I'm swearing. No, that is bullshit. You deserve way better. And you deserve not to be causing a lot of hurt for other people either. Whether those people are good people or not, besides the point. You are sowing karma that is negative karma. You're making it harder for yourself and other people. So when things start to fall apart, it's like, that's the reaction you should have expected, right? If this person ends up cheating on you or leaving you for somebody else or just changing their mind or returning back to the first person, I mean, that's kind of the karma, the fruit of the action that you did. That's to be expected. So don't be surprised, right? So avoid that if you can, right? Like if you see those red flags, please avoid them. Listen to your intuition and know that, like, I deserve better. I deserve to have somebody who is available, emotionally, mentally, physically available, who isn't taken, who sees me, gets to know me, and is like, wow, I really like that person. Like, you know what? Like, no other guy or gal or anybody else really like comes close. Like, I want to be with this person. I want to give them my loyalty. And again, loyalty isn't just bending the knee and doing whatever they say, no matter what. No, it's something that's freely given. That means that I'm dedicating time, energy, respect, care, love, and trust to this person. And they're doing it to me, and we're forming a great connection. That's loyalty. And there are people out there who will give you that. It may take time, and in this world where it's so chaotic and so many people are lost and confused and living through these bullshit personas of false empowerment, it may take a little longer, but guess what? You always got yourself. Love yourself, respect yourself, take care of yourself, take yourself out to dinner, take yourself out to go do things that are enjoyable. Screw what other people think if they, oh, that's weird, this person's doing that by themselves. Who cares? That tells you a lot about them. They can't do it. They're not strong enough or brave enough to do it. Screw them. Go enjoy your life. Buy the clothes that you want to wear. Take care of yourself and admire yourself. That I'm exercising, I'm trying to eat well, I'm trying to sleep well, stress reduction techniques, I'm doing my hobbies, I'm pursuing a career that I'm very interested in or I love. When you can do that, right? You can love yourself and respect yourself, avoiding those red flags, like today, red flag number 1, it's going to be a piece of cake. All right. The reason I bring this up is because this happens a lot. It happens a lot, especially in countries like America and in the West. It happens a lot. I mean, it happens everywhere, but this happens a lot because people think like, whatever, I do what I want to. So that's why I bring this up, because it's more common. And cheating and affairs of whatever kind happen all the time. And some people just, they get lucky and they never get found out, or it takes years and years for it to be found out. But it happens more than you know, even to the most religiously devout people. It happens all the time. So that's why you got to pay attention to the red flags in the beginning before you like settle down with somebody. And before that, you got to love yourself, respect yourself, and be able to date yourself. You know what I mean? Don't get twisted. Okay, don't do that. Don't do that. All right. It's a long video. I'm going to end it there. All right. I wish you, as always, I wish you the best. Please hit the subscribe button, the like button if you liked it. Leave a comment, okay? Like, maybe leave a comment today of like, why do you think people get involved with people who are unavailable of sorts, right? I'd like to hear your thoughts. Bless you all. Until the next time, take care.